Ever get that feeling like, there's so much cool stuff out there you haven't even scratched the surface of?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, today, we're going to dig into one of those things.
We are.
A real deep dive.
Absolutely.
Into the Dwingeloo Telescope.
That's right.
Over in the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands, yeah.
And to do that, we've got sources about its history and, all the cool stuff it did.
Got the big highlights.
The big highlights and what it's doing now even.
Exactly. And it's still doing a lot, which is so cool for something that was built.
For something so old.
So old. It was built way back in 1956. And
just 56 at the time.
It was the biggest in the world.
It was the biggest radio telescope in the world.
Wow. So it was a huge deal.
Huge deal at the time. Yeah, it was built to do something really important to map our galaxy.
Okay.
The Milky Way.
And they were doing that how?
So they were using radio waves specifically.
Okay.
Looking at the 21-centimeter emission line of hydrogen gas.
Hydrogen, the most common element. Exactly. All over the place.
Okay.
And so by looking at that, they could actually map out where all the hydrogen was in the galaxy.
So what kind of cool stuff did they learn from all of that work?
Well, first off, it was really, really groundbreaking to get that hydrogen distribution.
Right.
Really understand how the spiral arms
of our galaxy.
Of the galaxy work,
Yeah, right.
But it also helped us understand these really far out objects, these quasars.
Oh, yeah.
Active galactic nuclei, these super powerful.
The brightest things in the universe.
The brightest things in the universe, yeah. And it was one of the first telescopes to really study them in detail.
So it was looking at those things way out there.
Way out.
But also something pretty close to home, right?
Yeah, and this is where it gets really, really cool.
Okay.
So the Dwingeloo Telescope discovered two nearby galaxies.
Oh, wow.
Called Dwingeloo 1 and Dwingeloo 2.
Okay, so they're named after the telescope.
Named after the telescope.
Yeah.
And they were hidden.
Hidden?
Yeah, behind the plane of our Milky Way.
Oh, I see.
So there's this area we call the zone of avoidance.
Okay.
Where it's really hard to see with visible light.
Because it's all dusty and gassy.
Exactly. And so the radio waves from the Dwingeloo Telescope
I see.
could penetrate them and actually see these galaxies that we couldn't see with our eyes.
Wow.
So it totally changed our understanding of like what's around us.
Yeah, what's in our neighborhood.
Yeah, in our galactic neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it showed that you can't just rely on visible light.
You got to use the whole spectrum.
You got to use the whole electromagnetic spectrum. Yeah.
That's so cool.
It is.
So this telescope, I mean, obviously a lot of technology has changed over the years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Did it get retired?
Well, you would think so, right?
I would, yeah.
But instead of just getting decommissioned and, turned into a museum piece,
right.
This telescope got a new lease on life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so starting in 2009, this group of volunteers.
Volunteers.
Yeah, volunteers from this organization called CAMRAS. They started this amazing project to restore the telescope.
Wow.
And by 2014, it was fully functional again.
That's pretty incredible that volunteers did that.
It's really amazing.
Yeah. So they brought it back online in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it doing now?
So it's not doing like, the cutting edge frontline science.
Okay.
That it was doing back in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
But it's still doing really valuable stuff.
Like what?
So, for example, it's observing pulsars.
Those are
the spinning neutron stars
Sure.
that give off these pulses of radio waves.
Yeah.
It's also doing amateur radio astronomy.
Okay.
Including something super cool called Moon-Earth communication.
What is that?
You bounce radio signals off the moon.
Oh, wow.
To talk to people far away.
So you're using the moon like a satellite dish?
Kinda, yeah. It's like a giant reflector in the sky.
That's amazing.
It's being used for that. Also citizen science projects.
Oh, wow.
So, everyday people can get involved in doing research with this telescope.
Oh, that's amazing.
And there are even like space art projects that use the telescope.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's really become this bridge between its past as this groundbreaking instrument.
Right.
And its future as, this educational and public outreach tool.
Yeah, and a creative tool as well.
And a creative tool, absolutely.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So it really has gone on this huge journey from being the biggest radio telescope in the world to being restored by volunteers to now being used for all this cool stuff.
It really makes you think about the value of technology.
Yeah.
How it can go so far beyond what it was originally intended for.
Right.
So, I mean, the Dwingeloo Telescope is important, not just because of what it did, back in the 20th century.
Right.
But also because it's still inspiring people today.
Right.
And it's connecting those early pioneers of radio astronomy.
Right.
To, the next generation.
To the future.
To the future.
That's so great.
It is.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for our deep dive today.
I think so.
But it leaves us with something to think about, right?
Definitely.
I mean, we talked about how the Dwingeloo Telescope got this, second life. So what other technologies are out there that we think of as outdated that might have some hidden potential?
Exactly.
That maybe citizen scientists could use?
It's a great question to think about.
Yeah.
What's out there waiting to be rediscovered?
Totally. Yeah, what could we be using in a new way?
Exactly.
That's so cool.
It is pretty cool.
All right, well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
And until next time, keep looking up.
Keep looking up.